Welcome, everybody. Good evening to people watching live in the Eastern U.S. and I guess the Pacific as well. I am Jared Napolitano, marketing advocate for the Star Wars CCG Players Committee, and we have a great stream coming your way tonight, the 2023 Advocate Awards. With me, I have design advocate Chris Kelly, who
Hi, everyone.
who I refer to as CK throughout this, because we also have Chris Schoenthal, our tournaments advocate.
What's up, everybody?
And yeah, we have a packed show here. A lot to go through, but as alluded to on some of the posts, and as we've done the past couple years now, we have several awards to give out, notably seven Advocate Award winners plus one John Anderson Volunteer of the Year Award trophy. So we have a few other things to talk about as well, and we'll just I guess dive right in. Of course, hopefully we have no technical difficulties, but let us know in the chat or hit me on Slack if something crazy goes on and you can't hear us or see us. All right, so without further ado, you guys should be able to see on the screen we have, I guess, just the form for last year. We're going to talk a little bit about Devin Hubner, who many of you have probably learned earlier this week with the announcement that we made that Devin passed away last Thursday. He was only 45 years old. We are devastated. Anyone who knows him and worked with him and spoke with him and interacted with him had unequivocal positive things to say about him. I know all of us had interactions with him, and with the post, there was a lot of responses of people echoing that sentiment of how helpful Devin was. So let me show on the screen here, and I'll get rid of this. So there's Devin. Um, we I just want to share just a few anecdotes with that I had with Devin, and as you as the post alludes to, I would highly suggest checking out the Hollow Theater episode that Devin was on with Dan and Kendall about a year ago. He was also on a Bad Deck Breakdowns episode, and there's just really interesting things about his life and how giving he was and how helpful he was and how much he cared about other people and how just really just interesting interests that he had that were very wide ranging. I know I can hear him saying, when he reached out to Matt Carulli, or maybe it was Scott, maybe a combination of the both, like, hey, do you guys need help with your website? Because I can't access it. It's down. And Devin recalled the story of, oh boy, do we ever. And a lot of folks will remember this. This was like 2020, 2019. The website was crashing all the time. The forums were down. Like, there was just a lot going on there. And Devin saved the website. He saved a lot of different areas, and he just started jumping in and doing all different types of things and really helping out in a lot of different ways. I interacted with him specifically. He got me set up on working on Beaver Builder and WordPress to help directly do things to the website that really led to us having more autonomy and posting articles, coming up with articles, recapping events, previewing events, doing major announcements. He helped our deck list scribe team get them capabilities, so he's a big reason why those deck lists get posted so quickly, because he was able to set everybody up and help everyone when they had troubleshooting issues. He set us up for everything with AWS, the cloud, getting pictures, everything just much more professional. One anecdote I had, I'll never forget, I was doing something with Beaver Builder, which is like some type of software that layered on. I think I was using Safari. And I think this is why I was kind of surprised to hear about his interest in Mac, because he basically said, don't use Safari, use Firefox or Chrome when you're doing this stuff. And I was like really worried that I like broke the whole website because nothing was working, nothing was appearing right. And he just so calmly, when in his soft-spoken manner, talked me through it. Everything's okay. We didn't lose anything. Everything's gonna be fine. Just, he did with a lot of different people, just the remote desktop. Really, as Gurgle said in the post, like really believed in like teach a man to fish, that saying, and you'll have fish for the rest of your life, as opposed to, what the show man to fish. I'm probably messing up the exact parable, but the way that he wanted and was interested and took the time to train people so that they would become self-sufficient was just really impactful and just so important for our community. So those are just a couple anecdotes I have. I guess I'll toss it to CK or Show. Did you guys have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I don't know much about tech. Everyone knows that,
Mm-hmm.
but Devin was just so helpful behind the scenes and so much that people probably don't realize. Anytime something was down, we'd page him on Slack. I talked to him a little bit about just the game and my whole thing is let's have fun in the game. Devin had fun. He had the Jawa format and he had the EPP Tuscan Raider. He just enjoyed the game, but he was always helping people. And it's easy to say he really enjoyed helping, fellow Star Wars players and playing the game, but I think he probably just deep down just enjoyed helping people. And we're all gonna miss him. People like that don't come across very often, so we were really fortunate to have him for what we did, and it's a great loss.
Yeah, I don't think I have a ton to add. The thing that really struck me, a lot of times, where we as a community, like we know each other in terms of the game and our relations to the game and what people volunteer for, what people are known for, if they're known as a top player or whatever. But a lot of times we don't know as much about each other's personal lives and things outside of Star Wars as we'd like to. If people have other hobbies, maybe you don't know about them, or do they have a family? Do they have children? Things like that. Some people you get to know better than others just by virtue of communicating with them. Like I would say, I know more about my fellow advocates here than other players in the community. But for Devin, I didn't. I communicated with him some, but my separation with him, like my relationship with him, was mostly business, essentially about Star Wars things that needed to happen, discussing the tournament software, things like that. But then when he passed, and I got into looking more into the things that he'd done with the rest of his life, it really struck me that he just had that really incredibly giving heart. I know that one of the causes that was dear to him was scouting, which I'm an Eagle Scout as well. So that was something we had in common that we never even discussed. And his volunteering there, there's a running joke in scouting that when you start to volunteer for scouts, it's only an hour a week, and it's never true. It's always an hour and a half at the meeting, and then you go on a camp out over the weekend. So the hour a week is just a sort of a running joke there, and I know that I'm sure it was for him too. The district level is kind of a bigger level of scouting than just working with individual people. And then he also did all the stuff with the train museum, and so he had all these areas of his life simultaneously where he was just giving of himself, and essentially like that was his hobby. It seemed like was volunteering and helping others, like CK said, and I think that's just really amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And just to wrap up, I mean, when he talked on some of these interviews about his weekly appointment with his buddy John and how they would play this Utini format, and to echo what CK said, he was all about fun and thematics, and it was just so cool that this game, it's just so complex, and their format has like it's got a ban list, but just his competitiveness, but at the same time just the camaraderie with someone really close, and that's what I think a lot of people in our community can empathize with, and how we go to these majors and these local events and interact with people on Gemp that we know or don't know, but just relationship building, and just that this awesome card game underlies these relationships and friendships, and far beyond when this game stopped being printed. So that was something that stood out to me, and just all the times I've heard Devin speak. Okay. So with that, we are going to be instituting a new award in Devin's honor. And let me segue this real quick. So, let's see. That. So going forward, each year we are going to award a Devin Hubner Outstanding Achievement in Star Wars CCG Technology Award. So we have a lot of individuals in the community that have done a lot of really great things with technology, things that CK definitely couldn't do. But it's just amazing that each year there's more and more things that are just layered on to make the game, more smoothly, more robust, more resources. So in Devin's honor this year, and also in subsequent years, we're going to recognize someone formally during this Advocate Award show. this cycle, we'll say. So the winner for 2023, let's see if I do this right, is Lee Edwards. He created the Holocron app, which is for iPhones. It's a great resource. You can pull up the cards, and I know he's continually working on improving it. I know he was soliciting some feedback on Slack about a week ago. Just, how does this look? How does that look? What would you guys prefer? I'm sure this is a resource that people will use all the time, whether they're at tournaments or at home playing on Gemp or just or casually out talking with their buddies about the game or whenever. So looking forward to this. Yeah, CK has it up. This is really great for iPhone users. A couple years ago, we recognized Scott Atkins, who created the Comlink app, which was for Android. So it was really neat. And like I said, he was recognized during this Advocate Awards program for doing that. And like I said, I don't think there's going to be a lot of really good contributions that we'll have to consider each year for this, because I feel like we're always we meaning the technological people in our community, coming up with really cool things. We are going to have this award, again, named after Devin, and it will be awarded to Lee for this year. So great job, Lee. And with that, we will, of course, miss Devin pretty much every day. Just he was so impactful for our organization. So we'll miss you, Devin. Okay. So no really easy segue out of this, but we'll do now the superlatives. So I know you guys probably recall from high school, you had superlatives in the yearbook. The annual of the year awards, I guess, is what will probably ring a bell more. So we have, let's hide this, superlatives. Let's see, will this work? Oh, nope. I knew I was going to do that. Let me do we want the block. Okay. So first up, this is the easy one. This one everyone should know. It's not a surprise. The Player of the Year award, it's calculated based off Player of the Year points. Hayes Hunter wins this. He won 3 majors in 2023, including the U.S. Nationals, which was right around April 1st. He won Worlds in in August in New Jersey. And he won the Indo Grand Prix in October. He was a member of the Outrider Cup team. He also had, not that technically the 2024 calendar year is a new year, but of course he just kept rolling with the Supreme Southern Showdown, finishing second place in that. So he is our 2023 Player of the Year. All right, so now I'll move down a little bit. So we have Rookie of the Year next. Let's see. This is where Dan makes fun of me having a Mac and saying that Mac is the cause of these issues. So next up we have Rookie of the Year. And we're going to award this to Benji Chu, son of Johnny Chu, who Hall of Famer for the Players Committee, of course. There were 3 performances that stood out for Benji. In the 2023 online retro event that took place in April, May, June, Premier Special Edition, he finished 12th out of 47 players who played at least one game. A lot of those players played 8, which was the minimum threshold, but he finished 8-4, pretty strong showing. He also participated in the 2022 Worlds. I think all 3 of us were there, right? Him and brother Apollo. And they were very credible. I know it was Benji had my teammate Connor Britton Stubley on the ropes in one of those games. So he also 2023 Worlds finished 18th out of 69 players. Nice. Another strong showing. And then what really stood out to me personally was watching him in the 5th event of the 2023 Retro League. Game 6, he was playing against Paul Todd Feldman, who anyone in the retro community knows how decorated he is and how accomplished he is. He won the Retro League the year before, and Benji beat him. He stood up, he was making sound plays the whole game. It was really well commentated game by Edward Swaboski, and just really impressive. He finished 2nd in the event, won an uncut sheet, which I'm told via Johnny that he was extremely excited for, because the first place, I think, ultimately was Dr. Torch still won it, but Benji finished 2nd, passed down. He's really excited for the sheet, sent me a nice thank you note, which was really cool. Thank you email. Very, very classy. Thank you. So those 3 kind of performances, plus he's active, he's doing the OCS. The trajectory's upwards, and Apollo's also really strong, and I'm sure he's going to keep doing really well too. So if you guys have anything to add about, I guess, Hayes or Benji?
Yeah, for Hayes, if someone's gonna squeak out over me for Player of the Year. I guess it might as well be Hayes. He obviously had a great run. And both Benji and Apollo are just, yeah, they're good players, but they're just very solid human beings. They come from good stock, and they're just fun to be around. So yeah, congratulations to everyone.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments as well. I think it's really great that Johnny's been willing to get them involved, and they've been interested in being involved and playing at the top level. Like obviously, those are some solid results, better than I've ever had in this game for sure. And so, congratulations to Benji, and obviously, hats off to Hayes. An incredible year. Nothing more to add there. So, congrats to you both.
Yeah, but that Retro League event, Benji finished second out of 56 players. I should have clarified. So it's very cool. Okay, so now we have two more awards, and these we'll talk about these because they are a little bit synonymous in a way. We have Most Improved Player and Breakout Player, and I think what's interesting is both these players have very similar 2023 year performances. First, we'll start with our Most Improved Player, which is none other than Anthony Michael Howard, aka Batmouse. If I can show this.
The Sheriff.
There we go. The Sheriff of Jemp. Batmouse had 4 top 9 performances in the last calendar year. So he finished 9th in the San Diego event, and then rolled off 3 top 8 performances since then at Worlds and Endor, and I think Nats is also in there. I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, no, I think that's right. So, and he did not have any top 8 or top 9 performances until this point. So, at least per my spreadsheet that our production advocate, Mike Kessling, is going to be inheriting the maintenance of that spreadsheet going forward. So, very impressive year for Batmouse. Very strong player. I think someone made the joke of how is he eligible for the Jawa Cup, and that was just kind of like he didn't make the OCS top 16, and wasn't on the Outrider Cup team, which is only 6 players. It's very, very slim pickings. Right? Is that the right phrase? Very hard, very, very tough to get on there. Put it that way. But he's been doing such great performances lately that people are like, "Wait, you're in the Jawa Cup?" Running into you. So congratulations to Batmouse. And then for breakout player, we're going to have Sam Tashima, who also had 4, we'll say he actually had 4 top 8s in the last calendar year, the first 4 top 8s of his entire career, including 3rd at the Andor Grand Prix, 3rd in the OCS, which is no joke given how long that season is. I think he was the 2nd or 3rd overall seed after 6 months of 72 games. And he finished 1st in the Swiss event for the Supreme Southern Showdown. That technically that's this year, but just to really emphasize the trajectory that he's on, and that he just keeps putting up really strong performances. So congrats to Sam. And let me see if this shows on the screen. Yeah. Okay, so anything to add on Batmouse or Yoshi, Sam?
What would Batmouse do? The guy lands his plane right as game 1 the world starts, and then just top 8s it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a creative deck builder, and he's helpful. You reach out to him, he'll give you his opinion on cards, and again, just a fun guy to be around, just a good guy. What would Batmouse do?
He's so jovial. That's the first word that comes to mind. He's just always in a good mood. He's always smiling. He's always got a good sense of humor. He's self-deprecating. Mm-hmm. He can give a joke. He can take a joke. Just a great person in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been able to kind of see his trajectory in person from just kind of getting back into the game several years ago to where we are now, and it's really awesome to see that he's just stuck with it, and he's stuck around the community, which I'm really grateful for because I consider him a great friend and one of the few Dodgers fans that I will willingly associate with. So no, I'm incredibly proud of Batmouse's continued success, and one of these times he's going to spike one, and we're all going to just go crazy. Yeah. And then Sam, obviously, another teammate of mine, just always kind of under the radar, quiet, unassuming, but always thinking. Like, he grinds games, he thinks about the game so much, and it's really paying off for him, and I'm very happy to see that. So congratulations to both of them. I am proud to consider them both good friends, and yeah, I can't wait to see where their careers go from here.
Yeah, and fitting with the theme, both Batmouse and Sam are recently named Advocate Award winners. Batmouse won, I think, 2 years ago, and Sam won last year. Both very active volunteers. They do a lot of different things, wear a lot of different hats. Extremely helpful. And then they're on the mat. I guess performance has been great as well. So good to see that.
And Batmouse won that Advocate Award before he fed an entire tournament, so that's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
that's right. Yeah, the chef at the San Diego event. Okay. All right. So that is our superlative section. We now will be going into our Advocate Awards. So we'll do our first seven, and then we will do our John Anderson Volunteer of the Year Award. And let's make sure I do this properly. So I have the color block, as they call it, on here. Let me hide superlatives that we're done with that. And we will show this. Yep, that works. Okay, cool. All right, so Advocate Award winners. So, like, just a 1 minute background. So, just a few years ago, 3 years ago, I remember Scott was, during the pandemic, stuff was crazy. People were cooped up, but people were still helping and active in the community. And Scott reached out to me, and I'm sure he reached out to other people of, hey, there's a lot of people who did really great things this year. I want to recognize them. How do I narrow down this list, or who am I missing? That type of thing. So eventually he landed on 8 different folks to get recognized. And then I was named advocate in early 2021, and just kind of seeing this and kind of again seeing that tons of different people are doing lots of really great things in our community, figured maybe we kind of make this an annual thing of do 8 awards, or 7+1, and 7 meaning we've had pretty much for a while now 7 advocates on the council. So in a way we were like not like rigidly sponsoring like one particular advocate sponsored one particular person. It wasn't necessarily that, but sometimes it worked out like that. So we gave it another 7, 8 in 2021, did the same thing in 2022, and now we'll be doing it again here in 2023, and presumably we're going to be doing this for years to come, just because, and it's a difficult process. We started early in the year of just anytime someone does really something outstanding, or they've been doing several things that are outstanding, we have a running list in the advocate forum to just like, hey, someone's really knocking it out of the park here. Let's keep them in mind, and keep a running list going, because it's, we don't want to be thinking about this at the end of the year and have any of these contributions fall through the cracks just because of recency bias, or just as we've gotten further away from the actual efforts that were being done. So without further ado, I'll start with our first award winner for 2023. This is going to Casey Annis, who has done a ton of volunteer efforts over the past many years. And most prominently, he's the legal counsel of the Star Wars CCG Players Committee, especially the Advocate Council, and sometimes Tournament Committee, marketing, all different areas where there's something that's complex. We need some input from somebody who can, weigh all different views and understand what, different environment, and how things might be received, and just making sure, legally we're keeping in line with all the agreements that we have, and so on. Another big contribution that Casey has is him along with Sho are probably the 2 primary moderators of the Facebook group, which is a challenging job. It's just close. I think we're up to like 4,500 people in that group, and people have lots of different opinions, and they're most of the time pretty cordial and pretty useful and helpful. But every so often things go off topic, or things get a little deconstructive, if that's a way to describe it. But Casey and Sho and the rest of the Facebook moderators, but especially Casey, really rein it in. So, CK, Sho, anything to add with Casey, of course?
Yeah, I mean, in addition to all the legal stuff that he does for us, answering our constant weird questions like, oh, what about this piece of lore? Where can we subtract things? Can we slide things around? Can we shuffle the words? Like all sorts of different questions, like Jared said, about our legal agreements and how best to interpret them and keep them in line. But he also does a ton of work on the tournament committee. He's helped out with some of the just whenever I have a question about something, he's always willing to provide input and opinion on what's the most fair outcome. And so I definitely appreciate his efforts.
Yeah, I was going to say practical and fair, which is great for the role he's in, but also just to hang out with. He's very practical, very fair. So he's very, very well deserved. Jared alluded to how long he's served in that role and how much work he does. So congratulations, very well deserved.
Yeah, super active. He goes to so many events. He's always willing to help. He ran nationals a few years ago. Just always a great helping hand. Great guy. Okay, all right. So that's Casey. That's our first one. Second, we have. If we can do this, there's got to be a better way to do it. We have Drew Lichtenstein, who. What's the joke we have to say here against Mike Kessling's voting powers? Of course, in jest. So Drew gets it. Let me toss this to CK to kick off about Drew.
I was gonna try to be ironic and have Drew's be the shortest to talk the shortest about Drew, but it wouldn't really do him any fair service. He does so much in design, and I don't want anyone to think I'm picking amongst favorite children. It's just Drew is always so active and always so complimentary and compromising. He just wants to see good cards go through. He never draws any lines in the sand. He's always supportive. And that mindset in D&D reflects to how he is as a person. I know he has some big changes, coming up in his life, and everyone wishes him well, but just want to make sure he understood how much we all, not just in D&D, but the community, appreciate everything he does on D&D, in the competitive balance forums. And just everything that he does for this game is, I couldn't even describe it.
Yeah, I love it when, folks might get, I'll use the C word. They complain a little bit sometimes about new cards or changes. And Drew just, he gives very detailed explanations of, these are the different points we considered. This is how we arrived at this conclusion. I understand where you're coming from, but this is what we've kind of been seeing and hearing elsewhere. And these are like just very thorough and just a really genuine, sweet guy, and it just goes a long way. And I know I always like reading his stuff. Sometimes I have to bookmark it and say, all right, I'm going to read this when I can concentrate and not just scanning as I'm walking or doing something random. I want to be able to make sure I digest it, but just always great, poignant, thoughtful things to say.
Also, I'm sure he's somewhere either watching this or when he hears about it, watching the replay, going, "I don't deserve this."
Yeah,
he would never ask for or feel like his efforts are worthy of honor necessarily, but they certainly are. He does a great job. I get the privilege of seeing the design stuff. Obviously, I don't touch it, but just reading his thoughts on the game is really cool. And like Chris said, just always active and interested and keeping people's, opinions in mind and making sure there's no hurt feelings about anything, and everybody's clear that there's one goal, and that's making a better game. And his efforts are definitely a big part of that.
Yeah, and even just to quickly add to it, like I am selling him a little short because all of his contributions everyone sees, he'll also, if some things are going a little rough, sometimes things get a little testy in the community about certain things with design. Drew is the biggest supporter of everyone, and he will message you just to say, cheer up, you're doing a great job. Supportive is just an understatement of how much Drew will do to reach out and make sure everyone is okay. And that's a real friend. It's a friend.
Yeah, and one more thing about Drew, he rolled up his sleeves, right? He learned some coding and helped out with Gemp this year, even to some extent. Yeah. So that was cool to see. I don't know. I know he's a teacher or professor, right? I'm not sure to what extent he's tech, coding enabled, but either way, it was really great to see him jump into that. Okay. Oh, looked the wrong thing. Oh, gosh. All right, here we go. Third Advocate Award winner for 2023. All right, I got this working. We are unveiling with some drama here. Steve Sanders. So I will talk about Steve since I work closest with him. So Steve is the tournament director or tournament organizer of the Retro League, which just completed its second year in 2023. And he's just been extremely helpful. He reached out to me early in 2022. I think I did some like casual note like, hey, anyone want to help me out as the TD for this? Could use someone just extra hands on deck here. And he reached out and he volunteered to run it. And I don't think he had any experience doing the tournament software at that point. I actually met him and played him at the retro event at the 2021 Worlds in DC. So that was nice to meet him. And he travel. He's in South Korea right now, stationed there for work. But he yeah, just great guy. Just like I want to emphasize, it's kind of like wrangling cats a little bit with the league. There's just a lot of players, and a lot of them are either new to Gemp or they're just returning players, but they are familiar with some of the older formats. So it's a lot of folks in those leagues are getting their first exposures really to Swiss events. Like a lot of them played casually back in the day. So he's just been really great at keeping everything organized. He definitely very calm and patient, even as I know Show can relate to this. Sometimes the tournament software does have some glitches. So and when there's between I think last year all 5 events were between 55 and 57 players, which is a lot of people, and they're doing weekly scheduled matches. So that is no easy task, and he also is just very forward thinking. He wants to always keep what can we do to make the league a little more exciting or different, or are there any drawbacks that we could address. This year, I don't know if folks are familiar, but we're going to be replicating what is done for the OCS and have a ROX, a retro online championship series, where there's going to be a 8-player playoff in December. So the winners of the events, and this is something that again he organized the feedback on this, analyzed it, and really helped move it forward. So very very pleased to award this to Steve, and very thankful for all of his efforts over the past couple of years, and now in year 3 in running that league. And it's really just one more thing to add. It's just really neat. A lot of these players I see who've gotten back in the retro, now they're getting involved in open, or maybe they're doing sealed events on Gemp, and they're coming to events. They're coming to majors. Like I love seeing these names that I've only known through the retro league, and now I start seeing them go to events. Like I know like Dirty Randy sticks out to me. I know he went to the Nevada States. Clayton Moore. Like there's just a bunch of a lot of the now we're getting some of I know the Connecticut contingent joined the retro league. So this year I think we're at like almost 80, I think like 76 players in the first event. So it's already gone up, 20 players per the event. It's just tremendous growth, and people spreading the word, and a lot of that is attributable ultimately back to Steve's efforts and time with the league.
Yeah, I'd say a couple things there. I'd say first of all that that spirit of volunteerism is really important for the organization. That not only did he say, oh, look, there's an area that I have some expertise in, I can jump in and help out, but he really has taken the ball and run with it. Like these events are not small. It's not an easy task to keep that many people in line, as Jared alluded to. And so his willingness to do that and to expand it and grow it and make sure people are getting the best experience possible is very important. And secondly, that pipeline that you mentioned is important as well. Like getting people back into the game. Oh, I just pulled these cards out of my closet. I don't remember it really well, but I'd love to start playing again. And this is a great gateway for the community to grow. And so I think that's awesome that these leagues are so successful, and that's a lot due to Steve's work. So thank you.
For sure. Okay. All right. So now we're going to our 4th Advocate Award winner for 2023, and it is Eric Speaksma. So I will let Show start with discussing Eric and his contributions.
Yeah, so I was looking for some additional input to the tournament committee from the European side of things specifically, because we wanted to make sure that we always had a good, strong connection with our players over there, and made sure that their opinions and their thoughts on things were being heard. And Eric spoke up and volunteered, and I'm very grateful that he did. Eric's a wonderful guy, a teammate of mine, and it's been great to get to know him a little better. And he's got a great mind, similarly to Casey, for fairness and making sure that things are run the right way. And so it's been great to have him on the tournament committee. He's also run the league in Denmark. Denmark?
No, Dutch. Netherlands.
Sorry, yes, the Netherlands. Thank you. But he's run that league for 3 years now, and they do some really cool twists on formats over there. Sometimes they'll have a few tournaments that are standard, regular open tournaments, and then some where they'll have like a different ban list or tournaments where they have kind of thematic rules. So that's been really cool to see. He attends all of the European events as much as he can. He was at Routes here last weekend, and even comes to the U.S. regularly. He's been to Endor twice now, and was at Worlds 2022, and so he's just very connected and plugged into both sides of the community, and that's an incredible asset. And so I'm very grateful for everything that he's brought to the table and his continuing commitment to the game, and it's been great getting to know him, and he's well deserving of this honor.
Yeah, one thing that jumps out to me on Eric too is I remember I was watching the video of when they were giving out awards and prizes at the EC last year, and he was right up at the top helping Tomas and Kevin give out the prizes, and that just echoes what I've seen a lot from Eric, of just very giving, very involved, just a great volunteer. I back in 2018 at Worlds, he came to Worlds that year too in New Jersey. We were teammates for the team tournament on Friday evening, so got to talk with him and get to know him a bit, and we've always exchanged messages over time, especially since he's the league organizer for the Dutch league, but he also he does the Ryloth regional every year. He did the what do they call it exactly? The Dutch European National Championship. I think that's the formal name they called it. And he's already interested in doing that again for this year. So they just run a very, very successful league there, the Dutch player base, and obviously players elsewhere in Europe participate as well. So he's just embraced Jemp as a tool to help with the events, and I think they do sometimes. I see it like Friday night or Saturday night events on there, but obviously their in-person events are fantastic, and definitely the headliner for what they do with their league. All right, next we have our 5th Advocate Award winner, and I think this is where I actually didn't go in full alphabetical order. So yeah, been a long few weeks. So it is the Lodge Porg La Poca Live himself, Tommy Santos Suazo. And I guess we probably all have a lot to say about Tommy. I guess I'll start with CK.
Yeah, you can't walk into a room upset, have Large Porg be in that room, and then walk out of that room still be upset. Mm-hmm. The guy is a gravity towards jovialness. You just hear him talk, and you're in for a good time. And his devotion to the game, just how much he travels, and not just the time traveling, but when he's there, he is there, he's committed, he's with you, and he just wants to have that fellowship with everyone. It's really remarkable. He's one of the more remarkable human beings I've met.
Sho, do you want to go next?
Yeah. I mean, I certainly agree with everything that Chris said. I remember his first event that he came to was San Diego, and he just walked into the room, and it just like brought this energy with him. And he's just introducing himself all around, like, "What's up? I'm the Lodge Porg." You like just didn't know any of us from Adam, had never talked to us before in his life, and just ready to jump right in and just involve himself. And he's done that with the community. He's all over the place. He's already gone to Europe, which is amazing. I think he might show up this weekend to SoCal to a random local we're having.
Never know.
It's not even a league event, but he was talking about it. So and anytime there's an event coming up and Tommy's like, "Yeah, I'll be there," you get more excited about the event. It's just like Chris said, he just brings this incredible energy, and he also has brought a lot of that spirit to the organization as a whole. Like he's jumped right into volunteering efforts in various areas that I'm sure Jared's going to get to, and I'm glad he found us and we found him.
Yeah, just fantastic. I could talk, I feel like, for 10 minutes about Tommy, but the interesting thing about him is it's almost like he burst on the scene. He told me, "Hey, my mission is to go to as many events as possible this year, play as many things." I saw him and met him in person at I think it was a second event of our Coruscant League in South Jersey, and just spoke with him. And I wish I could have spoke with him longer, but just really down to earth and shook my hand and thanked me for everything I was doing, and offered to help, with different like cargo and shipments and stuff based on some of the perks he has with his job. But he, so it's just interesting for the first several months. And last year, I know he did the retro league. He's just been gradually being very, very active, but he's really kind of found some organic ways to volunteer now. I asked for someone, hey, could someone help me with these tournament reports? We have so many great tournament reports, and once they're posted, I'm just like, part of me is like stressed because I'm like, I need to read these in a relatively timely way, make sure that the folks know that these are getting read, digested, stamped for prize support. He's the official TR stamper right now, so he's reading everything. I will read them all at some point. I've just been not as quickly reading them as I used to, but he's been helping with that. He helped a ton promoting the Beezer Bowl, which was a great success, and that was just a really unique thing, an event in Connecticut that had a very different, unique spin on it, which was, from like Pistone and Edward went, and obviously CK went, like, that seemed like a tremendous success, and he was a huge part of that. Just extremely positive attitude, and again, just that mindset, that energy, that, just enthusiasm for this out of print card game, and just building community, and just kind of recognizing the unique opportunity that he has, that he gets, like, he's able to fly everywhere. But what he's done, I think this was brought up at some point in Slack, like, this is unprecedented. No one has ever gone to this many events in this short of a time frame, right? Definitely not in the BC era. Like, it's just really, really incredible. So we recognize him for that community building aspect, probably first and foremost, but he's also doing more and more tangible volunteer things as well. So definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one more that you didn't touch on. He's just recently started helping Scott a lot with this.
Oh, right.
Photo organizing project that Scott has taken up. He's getting all sorts of photos from events across the years, from the Decipher era to present, and getting them tagged with everybody's names and organized in a Google Drive. And to me, like, the historical side of the game, the fact that we've been here so long, we've all been doing this for many, many years, and there's a lot of history there. And we maybe have not always done the best job kind of archiving that and preserving that. And so that's a really important role, and I'm really glad that he's brought his enthusiasm to that project.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right, so that's Lodge Porg. Next up, our 6th of 7 Advocate Award winners. We have Mr. Dan Tartaglione. D-Tartag 1. Okay. Lots to say about Dan. CK, you could kick it off.
Dan is a guy that is probably very easy to take for granted because he's always there, he's always around. And because of that, we should recognize him as much as we can. I think he calls himself the unofficial face of Star Wars CCG. You turn on a stream, he makes my Saturday better because I can watch a game being streamed and he commentates. He is all over the place and instrumental part of this game and this community that I couldn't imagine without him, because of everything he does with the streaming, the commentating. So it's very easy to just assume it's there, but behind the scenes, I know Dan puts in so much work in setting up the streams, commentating, and then Hollow Theory and everything. So hats off to Dan.
Yeah, absolutely echo everything that Chris said. It's great to have him in the community and have somebody who's dedicated to making sure our tournaments, again, preserving our history in some ways, but also bringing it live to the world for people to see, and being able to watch. And, if you're not able to attend an event, you know that Dan will be ready to catch you up on the news. So, well deserved. Congratulations.
Yeah, for sure. And this is not the first Advocate Award for Dan. He's one of the folks who's in the consideration really every year. We have several folks who are just always doing stuff, and sometimes we just, the tiebreaker is we just recognized this person last year, the year before. We want to recognize this person for the first time. So I'll get into that. Well, not really. I just want to say there are many honorable mentions in our head. I don't want to name them because I might forget some, but just a huge thank you to everyone who has done stuff throughout the year. But point being, Dan's always doing stuff every year, spends countless hours doing various things. Anytime I ask, hey, can someone help me with this? Dan's always willing to help, whether it's marketing stuff or graphic stuff. He helps with a lot of the logos and banners. The Squadron Assignments game that he picked up from what they did in Europe and implemented that and spent lots of hours making like the name tags and the charts and setting up the teams, and that was a really neat thing. And we supported that with some prizes too. So I think people really enjoyed that aspect as well. But yeah, it's like anytime there's an event, whether Dan's on site setting up the equipment, taking down the equipment, troubleshooting any tech stuff, even for events that he's actually playing in, or if he's remote and he's our off-site producer, he's contributing and helping and doing lots of different things, and it's just been he's been such a valuable resource to the PC now for many years. So thank you, Dan. And that reminds me, we're definitely I need to talk a little bit at the end about what all these folks are getting as a thank you for these contributions that they've made. So we'll circle back at that. That should only take a moment or two. All right, our seventh, David Woods. So I'll kick off about David. So David's just been really, really helpful. I think specifically to me, I just have a lot of different random marketing tasks that he helps me with. Especially the big thing is trophies. He helps Scott and me out with wrangling that process, which is, ever since we've given out a lot of trophies for state events, regional events, top 8 for majors, OCS, all these different online events that we didn't used to have, 4 or 5 years ago. He's organizing that. He helps us work directly with the reps from the trophy company, organizing all that in the spreadsheets. He definitely has some really good spreadsheet skills, which I definitely appreciate. He helps maintain the master card list, which is on the website starwarsccg.org/collecting. That huge spreadsheet, which I feel like every week there's someone in the Facebook group who asks, "Hey, is there an Excel spreadsheet I can download and use to track my collection?" And I'm just like, "Go right here. This is it." So he maintains that with every new virtual set that comes out. He's very interested in collecting. He goes to so many events that he's always really interested in, like the pins and the stickers and all the different swag. He was the Yavin 4 league organizer for the past year, inheriting it from Taco Bill. This year, he's going to not only be doing the Yavin 4 league again, he's also going to be doing the inaugural Norfolk League, which whose nickname I cannot repeat on air. But that was something that it was really cool that he reached out to Sam and Show and me and was basically like, "Hey, I have this group. I'm confident we can get 8 to 10 people at every single one of these events in person and run it similar to the Pittsburgh League," which gave me a chuckle thinking of Pittsburgh League because Dan, Pittsburgh is not a Star Wars planet. But looking forward to that. They have a great crew down there. They travel to events. I know some of the folks went out, or at least McFarland went out to Vegas. So really appreciative of David running that league. He just helps with a lot of like miscellaneous tasks. Like there's that one post that's, how do I get these foils? And he routinely updates that every couple months. That's something that I think is a valuable marketing thing to point people to. Again, anytime we have people get swag and they post in the Facebook group, post in Slack, post in Discord, and then someone inevitably always asks, "How do I get these things?" or "Where do these come from?" Having that post to just like paste, here's what you can do to get all these things. So he's maintained that. He's also given me lots of input on, hey, here are some options that we could do for the next events, foil slips, like for the league for the year, and just all around really helpful, specifically to marketing and tournaments, and just definitely a well-deserved award for David for the year.
Yeah, just another great example of the like grassroots nature of the organization in some ways that people see a need, or they see an area that could be improved, or they see a group that needs to be more actively served, and they jump right in, and he's done that, and that's great. He's definitely, we've exchanged emails about various league things and like how to make things better from the league side. He's talked with Sam a lot about that, which I think is something that I don't know where I was going with that, sorry. But I'm glad that David is involved with our organization and is getting that second league going. That's really great. I know Norfolk has been in the conversation for a place to go for majors in the future. So one of the important things about having a major somewhere is kind of having that organic base. So we're guaranteed at least a good number of players that are there that don't have to travel to get there, and so having that will be really helpful.
Two things to add. One funny thing about the trophy order, because David is helping manage it, that's like the one last dependency of I wanted to do this stream and announce this, because I didn't want David to find out, like, hey, here's the trophy order, has your name on it for the Advocate Award trophy. That was so we'll get those ordered in the next day or two. If David watches this tomorrow, don't want to spoil it, so I'll wait another day or two. But yeah, again, extremely helpful thing, and one thing, and not to jump the gun, obviously we still have one more big award to give out, but something that underlies all of these 7 individuals is just the community building. Really jumps out to me that these folks are very active, very willing. They understand the importance of building relationships and training people, for lack of a better word, on how to play the game, where to go for things, how do you play online, how do you get stuff, where to contribute. Like all those different things just really underlies all 7 of these individuals. So big kudos to all of them. Okay. All right. So now our John Anderson Volunteer of the Year Award winner announcement. Let me so hide these, and let's make sure I don't. Well, I guess at this point, I probably don't even need this. Okay, so our John Anderson Volunteer of the Year Award is going to Garrett Larson. Congrats, Garrett. So we all have lots to say. So let's see. We'll start with Show.
Yeah, absolutely. Garrett and I, we go way back, as they say. He was my immediate predecessor in the role of tournament advocate. And even that was, his role there was kind of a perfect embodiment of why he's getting this award now. Is he saw a need that there was kind of a vacancy there, and he stepped in. Wasn't really sure about the whole thing. Wasn't, but he filled in admirably, and he's been in the community for years. And then he left us for a little bit, but then he came back, and I'm really grateful that he did, because since he's been back from his hiatus, he's jumped in again with both feet, and he's been just in every department you can think of. And when I think of John, that's what I think of. He's just constantly involved in every area of the organization where it's feasible for him to be. And that was John's spirit, and that's Garrett's spirit as well. He's helped on the tournament committee a ton. Whenever I have a question, he's always the first one to jump in with an opinion or a thought about it. Whenever there's a stream that needs happening, if Dan's not available or it happens all of a sudden, Garrett's very flexible and is always willing to jump in and stream it. And so he's just all over the place, and in the best way possible. So congratulations, Garrett, and I'm proud to call you a friend.
CK?
Yeah, I think what Sho just said, the word that stuck out was spirit. Garrett has a lot of spirit. He has that personality that you just want to gravitate towards and be friends with him. His constant streaming. I met him at the infamous 2021 Nebraska States, I think. And that was the first time I really got to sit down and play with him. And it was just a good time. We talked, not just about cards, but about family and things like that. And what he does and embodies for this game and in his volunteerism. And he's proud of it. But I think what he's most proud of is being one of the founding members of the HitGo, where we are always talking about HitGo and having fun. So congratulations, Garrett. I'm really, really proud of you, and it's a great, very well deserved award for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few things to add. So one of the first things I'll say is, like I alluded to earlier, we start a string where we're just kind of like routinely bumping it throughout the year of, hey, who's jumping out to us? And Garrett was the first person that jumped out to me. I see the post March 4th, 2023 was when I started this string of, hey, Garrett's doing a lot of stuff. He helped plan nationals. He's helping with streaming. He's helping Dan with Hollow Theater a lot. So that's one thing I definitely want to mention. Another thing is I think he embodies one of the best aspects of this organization, in that if you are able, you've got some free time, you're willing, you're really determined, you're capable, you're organized, you're persistent with the things. If you need some help, if you want to learn how to do new things, he kind of just put his head down probably like 15, 16 months ago and was like, I want to get more involved in these various aspects. and he just did it. He powered along. He will joke that he's not super technically capable, but he's hosting streams now on the PC channel. And of course, big thank you to Dan for setting him up on that. But just all throughout the year, different formats, different events, at different times, he's firing up streams, doing the games. He's streaming his own games, which I'm sure are very helpful for a lot of new and returning players. I know he's got a bunch now just recently with the Jawa Cup. He's doing his own games, and they're going to be up on the YouTube channel as well for future reference for people to watch and learn things about. So that just really struck a chord with me that our organization is such that if you really want to make a mark, you can. There's not like a bunch of red tape around here. Like we're always willing to hear folks who want to help hear and support people who want to volunteer and help. But at the same time, we can't do every single step of the way. So when people are really assertive and really push their way through, and in a good way, I mean push their way through and really want to make that mark and leave the mark, it goes a long way. And the final thing I want to mention, it was just almost like a sign, like I said, he was the first person I thought of on this string, and then more recently we had, I think, a game store reached out in North Dakota. I think they reached out to Scott, and Scott connected this game store to Garrett and Sam, who of course are, along with Mark Walseth, of course, are like the primary organizers and tournaments people, will say, in the Bespin region. And I think Garrett might have mentioned that this was, a store near and dear, or something that John used to go to, or had some poignancy from that perspective. So when I heard about that a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, this is like an interesting sign, and just crazy how things work sometimes. But I'm looking forward to some type of North Dakota states, perhaps. No pressure, Garrett, but I think that might be a good opportunity to again circle back with one of these stores that, from what I heard or believed, it sounded like a place that we used to do Star Wars CCG events at. So those are definitely the points I wanted to hit, and just tremendous contributions all throughout the year, volunteer, actual playing, and like I said, streaming tournaments, as Show touched on, and just the spirit and the added super positive attitude from that CK emphasized as well. So big congrats to Garrett. Okay. So just as I mentioned before, let me just wrap up real quick with what are all these folks getting, as I'll show here. This is just the history. In case anyone's ever curious, if you go to starwarsccg.org, at the top, there's like an about us, awards and Hall of Fame. That's where you can see all the folks who have won these awards in the past. The winners of this, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit if you guys can see. So, and I'll get rid of this color block thing that I don't need anymore. So each of the 8 will receive a pair of Timothy Zahn signed foil V-slips. So that's Grand Admiral Thrawn VAI and Chimera VAI. Huge thank you to Sam Tashima, again coming up as his contributions. He went to a signing, got these awards, or prizes I should say. We printed them out, and I wasn't sure exactly when these would be given out. I'm like, should we give them out for performance? And then just a couple of days ago, I'm like, okay, let's update this for the prizes. I'm like, there's 8. I have 8 pairs. This is perfect. We have 8 people, so I'm like, this kind of just like fits perfectly. So each player will get these 2 signed slips. They'll also get a ultra rare mobile gray poker chip, and they'll get to pick out their favorite card or one of their favorite cards, and they get 2 copies of that card with, in the lore, it'll say 2023 Advocate Award winner, and then for Garrett's, it'll say 2023 John Anderson Volunteer of the Year Award. In the lore, so I'll reach out to you guys and get your choices, and then you also will get a free event voucher, and you will get a trophy similar to this in style. Again, like I said, we're gonna order it. Very cool. I'm not, as I learned from Kessling, I'm not gonna send these to events without asking if it's okay for people to take home in their luggage. I'll probably, those types of awards, I'll try those. I won't take any risks with getting it to you guys. Put it that way. I don't want it to get broken. I want it delivered to you in as a direct manner as possible. So those are all the goodies for those folks. That's about all we have. Again, just a quick reminder. We're all remembering and missing Devin, but just really encourage everyone to. It's forum.starwarsccg.org. Click on announcements. There's the post there. Actually, it's right on the homepage too. We have the same article, starwarsccg.org. Read about all the great things that Devin did and how much he'll be missed. So that's everything. Any closing remarks, CK or Show? I'll start with CK. Anything else?
Yeah, it's been touched upon as well before, and obviously congratulations to all the winners. But there were so many people who have been so instrumental that just because in this particular show, we didn't say your name. It doesn't mean it's overlooked. We really appreciate everything everyone has done. There's so many people that we could name, and out of fear of missing one, obviously we're not going to. But thank you to everyone who's volunteered, everyone who's played, and congratulations to all the award winners.
Show.
Yeah, I agree with everything that CK said there. I think that just every year these awards are a very special time because we get to recognize people that make this game carry on, and it's continuing to carry on, and we're thriving, and that's in part the 8 people we just named. It's in part my fellow advocates. It's in part everybody watching this stream that still plays and loves this game, 20, 30 years down the road. I do want to make a special shout out to Jared for putting this award ceremony together. He's put a lot of work into this stream specifically and getting these awards together. And it's a great recognition for all these people. So thank you, Jared.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is my pleasure. This is a really, really fun thing that I've led. And yeah, just echo what you guys are saying. There's so many of you that are doing great volunteer work and you're spending a lot of time and effort on, this game, this community, and it's all being noticed. And if you didn't win this year, please don't get discouraged. We see it all, and we definitely want to make sure that we're recognizing folks in different ways, and whether that be Advocate Award winners each year or other ways. But huge thank you to everyone who contributes, and just a reminder to everyone in the community. Just it goes a long way to thank volunteers for what they do, because that's really the primary motivation, I think, for doing this. We're not getting paid, we're not getting all the glory, for example, and it's a lot of time and effort that people are putting in. So basically, if they're happy and motivated and feel fulfilled, that's really the primary motivator, honestly, at least to me, of feeling appreciated. And I'm sure it's for a lot of volunteers. So just always be careful. Sometimes choose your words, make sure you're realizing how some things might come across. But by and large, folks are always very appreciative for the things that the volunteers are doing. So please keep that up. And again, huge thank you to anyone and everyone who did anything this year for the PC, and looking forward to an awesome 2024. Yeah, and with that, I guess we'll sign off. Tune into Hollow Theater tomorrow. I think it's at 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m., Dan. I think it's 8 p.m., right?
8 p.m., yeah.
8 p.m. Eastern, yeah. So tune into Hollow Theater. And yeah, with all that said, may the force be with you. Thank you all for tuning in, and